It's late April and the block workers are well underway putting blocks up the house. Meanwhile the roofers begin work on the roof. The first job is to put the counter batten on and then battens the other way to provide an air gap. Inside I'm working on the electrics. I've been doing all the wiring myself with the help of my dad, and it just seems to be endless junction box after junction box. It's quite a painful task. The fitters have just arrived on site for the windows, and they've confirmed my major concerns, which is that there are no sills for the windows. I'm waiting for the window company to phone me back now and find out what's going on, but I'm really not impressed. Not impressed at all. This is going to absolutely screw everything up because everything relies on these windows. Despite the lack of sills, we found a way where the windows could still be fitted, so we were able to get on. This is my window, and we've put in these concrete sills. Now normally on every other window in the world there should be a little stub sill here just to allow the water to run off, but they've not been supplied with these windows, so there seems to be some confusion over this, so we've now got to hope that everything drains okay. It was a busy couple of weeks, so as the windows were being fitted inside and outside, the roofers continued to work, getting most of the roof complete, and outside, Davey was pretty much doing everything else. The windows were soon fitted with the plastic on them to protect them. The window company worked closely with the kit company, and the idea was that the windows fitted like hand and glove together. But that wasn't quite what we ended up with. I've just received a telephone call from the agent for the landlord of the rented house that we live in. The landlord lives in Dubai, and they've been out there for a couple of years I think, and they're coming home and they want their house back at the end of August. And the problem is that I've had this date of the end of August in my head as the earliest time we could finish. And most people here, pretty much everyone actually, has just laughed at me, saying it's impossible to make that date. Well, unfortunately, now I'm going to have to make that date because the alternative is living in a tent or living with my parents. Even though the house wasn't completely watertight, plasterboard arrived and we started to plasterboard the upstairs. Downstairs was a nerve-wracking moment when they put in the final two windows. These windows cost £26,000, so I was quite nervous to see them lifted up.
Right, the black cats, you need to look them do.
Hey, come this way, take your
That's all right, 75.
They're very heavy, but they made the place look absolutely fantastic when they went in. After a week, the window fitters had completed all of the windows, and it was time to stand back and admire the view. As soon as they had gone, my job was to lay kingspan board, insulation board onto the floor, and then cover that in plastic, ready for the next day when the heating engineers would come in to lay underfloor heating. They spent 2 days laying down pipeworks to manifolds and clipping them to the insulation. Two days later, a concrete mixer arrived with a special type of poured screed to go onto the floor. 65mm of this were to be placed onto the floor and squirted in using giant hoses. The screed was poured out into a special pump and then squirted all over the floor. This was an expensive part of the operation, as the screed alone cost £3,500 to lay. But it was all done in about 3 or 4 hours. They set out tripods with special measurements on them, calibrated from a laser, so they knew the exact height to pour the screed in. And then they basically just filled up the house until it was complete. There's only 80 days left now before I get evicted, so I better get finished soon.